Season 1996-97, GM Vauxhall Conference finishing 19th, FA Cup second qualifying round, FA Trophy second round. With John Carroll offering all the players a chance to prove themselves, he must have been pleased that, with the exception of Paul Smith, who left to join the police force, everyone else elected to stay and fight for their places. This did not stop Carroll bringing in his own players. These were plentiful in number, and it soon became clear that Carroll was out for building his own side as quickly as possible. He returned to Runcorn to sign defender Andy Lee and midfielder Ian McKerney. Two players returned to the Shea, Paul Mudd and Gary Worthington. The directors also brought back old favourite Bobby Davison from Rotherham United and dipped into their pockets to raise £10,000 to sign Stafford Rangers striker Mick Norbury. Things looked promising, and even Chairman John Stockwell was confident of a top four finish. After the first game, though, he might have felt differently. Town suffered their worst ever opening day defeat when they went down 6-0 at reigning champions Stevenage, who, like Macclesfield and Kidderminster before them, had been denied entry into the Football League. Confidence was restored with a home draw with Altrincham and a 4-1 victory over Slough, but then Town fell into freefall. Pressure mounted on Carroll as his side lost 4 of their next 5 matches to find themselves next to bottom. To make matters worse, Carroll found that the supporters ganging up on him, against him as they incessantly chanted for Kieran O'Regan to take his place. Carroll hoped for respite in the FA Cup, which, because of their recent poor record in the competition, Town were forced to enter at the first qualifying round stage. But their 3-2 win at Oldham Town was far from convincing, and having lost 3-0 at home to Telford in the conference, temperatures on the terraces reached boiling point as Town were dumped out of the cup by Bishop Auckland. The visitors strolled to a 4-1 win, and disgusted fans poured onto the pitch upon the final whistle to call for Carroll's head. Vice-Chairman Chris Holland, who had taken over from Brian Bolton in May, tried to appease them, but when the fans refused to disperse, a delegation was allowed to confront Carroll and the directors. A constructive discussion followed. The result? Pretty much more of the same, as Town failed to win another game until the end of November. This was despite changes in the playing staff. Michael Midwood left for Hong Kong via Accrington, while Hayes and Trotter were loaned out to VS Rugby. Both eventually stopped there, and Bobby Davison went on loan to Guiseley. John Hendrick too decided to quit, claiming he was disillusioned with football. Meantime, in came keeper Paul Gibson on loan from Manchester United, Macclesfield hardman Kevin Hume, originally on loan but signed permanently in December, and striker Jeff Horsfield for a second spell after being signed for a 4-figure fee from Witton Albion. With the side next to bottom, Town slumped probably their most embarrassing defeat when Harrogate Railway won 2-1 at the Shea in the West Riding County Cup. The Shaymen were undone by a bizarre extra-time winner from Harrogate keeper Mark Fenton, once on the books of Halifax Town, whose long punt downfield bounced over Andy Woods. On the 10th of December, Town had something to cheer about when they won the final of the West Riding Senior Cup. Having accepted the challenge of holders Bradford City, a goal from Gary Worthington in extra time gave the Shaymen a 2-1 win and the cup. John Carroll added defenders Paul Cox, Gressley Rovers and Derek Goulding, Southport, and winger Darren Lyons, Winsford United, to his squad. But results in the conference did not improve. Assistant manager Billy Rodaway pointed to the FA Trophy, in which he felt Town could have a good run. But he was wrong. After winning at Stalybridge Celtic in the first round, they were humbled 3-0 at Gloucester City. Renewed calls for Carroll to be sacked were intensified 7 days later as bottom-placed Bath won 5-4 at the Shea to claim their first away win of the season. Within a couple of hours of the final whistle, Carroll and Rodaway had left the club by mutual consent. Although never a popular choice as manager, Carroll could rightly claim that he was never really given a chance. He was quick to point out where he felt the trouble lay. I felt I had been let down by the players, and I don't think that at this moment I could have got any more out of them. The following day, George Mulhall and Kieran O'Regan stepped into the breach again, with John Stockwell saying, "The crowd have been screaming for this for a long time, and now I hope they get behind the team." He later told the pair that should they keep Town in the conference, the job was theirs. With leading scorer Mick Norbury pressed into action as an emergency centre-back, Town won their next 3 games to ease the plight at the bottom. But the spectre of relegation to the Unibond League hovered menacingly. Town released Derek Goulding, but signed Doncaster's Jamie Murphy, and Murphy scored on his debut in a 2-1 win over Southport on Good Friday. But the losing run returned. After defeating their final away game at Rushden, Town's 7th consecutive game without a win, Mulhall admitted, "We have a mountain to climb." Town responded by coming back from 1-3 down to draw 3-3 with champions-elect Macclesfield at the Shea. Struggling with Bath to avoid the drop, Town needed to win their last home game with Stevenage to guarantee safety. Town beat Stevenage 4-2 to preserve their conference status, after which Mulhall and O'Regan were rewarded with a 1-year contract. They released Bobby Davison, Gary Worthington, Paul Mudd and Paul Cox, whose 3 sendings offs epitomised Town's awful disciplinary record. Mick Norbury's last day hat-trick did not prevent him being sold to Hednesford. Attention now turned to upgrading the Shea. Back in August, the Evening Courier had envisioned a super sports stadium at the Shea. This involved both Halifax Town and the rugby club, now trading under the name of Halifax Blue Sox, to suit the new Super League image, playing at the Shea. In September, Calderdale Council agreed to develop the ground. When Town played Southport in March, the club launched the Shea Builder Premier Bond Club for Phase 1 of the redevelopment programme. $70,000 needed to be raised to match the sum pledged by the directors, but if Halifax slipped out of the conference, the scheme would be deemed a sheer waste.